Hello everyone. Been a while. So I've been working on these tutorials and working out how to start them and introductions to them. And then I came across a video on Facebook which was a really good tutorial. It was about drawing animals, but it's just a simplified shape. And I thought that's a really good way to start. So I've tried to copy it, I've tried to share it. It's from I think it's from Indonesia. It has no subtitles. I can't give credit to who it is from because I can't read it. But it's just a really quick tutorial. But it's done in high speed. So you just see a pencil wiggling around, and the picture's done. I think it lasts about 3 minutes from start to finish. So I've gone in and broken it down, and I've taken shots of each stage, and that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to try and explain how they built up the image using one of my little tutorials. So if you look, we go to the table. So I should have these available as PDFs for everyone. So this is the rabbit exercise. I think we just start there. I think we've got rabbits, we've got a guinea pig, then we have a dog. And then we move on to sort of finding shapes in forms. So these circle, triangle, circle, circle to form the contours of a profile of a face. Useful thing, that's how you do it when you're drawing, when you're trying to be arty. That's one of the things you're trying to do. You're trying to find those hidden shapes. So I just think this tutorial should be good for everyone's level of expertise, inexperienced, anyone who wants to give it another go, or someone just starting out. And I thought it was really good, especially this rabbit one. So I'm going to concentrate on that first. So in this first image here, it's just the 3 circles. So straight away, back to the paper. I'm going to use a B. Someone trying to draw a circle is going to do something like that, and it's going to be off-putting for them. It's a circle is a difficult shape to draw freehand. So some people will just not be happy that doesn't match this. All I've done here, by the way, is I've just, because these lines are so faint, I've made them a little bit, bolder, so you can see what exactly is going on. It's just to help it out, because these images weren't that great. And then I've added a bit of text, but don't worry, you don't have to follow it step by step. And these are quick, but you can take your time over them. There's not too much rush. Right, so if we look at this rabbit, this first step here, now I'm going to bring in my tablet so I can blow that up for you, and hopefully you'll see it much clearer. So that's the shape we're looking for. It's just 3 intersecting circles. So my idea, I thought, well, I know people will get anxious about doing that. So let's just try it, wrong pencil. I'm just going to trace the inside of a roll of masking tape. Got the smaller roll of tape. And we'll just plop that around. Move that over a little. Plop that around. And there we are. It's just a rough shape. I don't think these things are exactly in proportions. It's a drawing exercise. And the other thing was, and the materials. So they've just used pencils. Okay, so pencil wise, the darkest one in my set is a. Oh, it's not. It's a 6B. And then the very lightest one here. So this one over here is the 5H. They don't look too different, but when you try and do lines, it's a really defined line, and then when you also come to try and rub these out, they're different. That comes off quite nicely. And if I was to do the same thing with a 6B, it leaves more of a mark. So at the first sort of laying out, you want to use the harder pencil, and you don't want to press down too hard. You just want to make a faint line. The minimum And you probably won't be able to see these on the camera. They're there. But if you start pressing hard, or if you start pressing too hard, all you're doing is you're creasing the paper. These aren't made for that. 4B, which I think is used in this demonstration. It can cover a lot of area. And then smoosh it away, which is what they've done here to create that fur pattern. So it's using the grain of the paper. Papers are very important, but we're just going to stick to this. It's just copy paper, really. So I've got my circles, and then the next stage was to add these little eyes on the side. So we can go ahead and do that. Right to the side there, and just darken them in slightly. Leave a little highlight. And then we're going to start with the little nostril part here. So this little nose area comes down slightly here, sort of round off all these little corners. And then we've got the little mouth, which is just a little Y-shaped thing. And then we're going to work on this little pouchy area here. It's going to be his chin. And you can kind of see a face starting. And that's when you can start to shade these parts here. And next we've got the little ears. Okay, that would be ears, like so. We've got the ears, we've got the little mouth. Now we can start the shading process. So in the video, these are so fast, it's very hard to see what's going on. That's why I thought it'd be much easier for me to just slow down and go bit by bit. So I've got my 4B, and we're going to start with the ear. We're going to go quite dark with the ears, and then lighten up. But we are going to be covering the whole picture. So if we do this, what we're doing is adding volume. So this is the shape, is the outline, and now that we've added a bit of volume, the light and dark, just like when we do the the apple exercise, you start adding in shadow over here and then lightening up as you go. You're creating a volume there. So we're doing the same as a rabbit. And here we want these little facial features to get dark here. And then they're lightening as they go towards the back. There we go. So you imagine the snout of the squirrel. Just wants to get a little bit darker there. And then his little nostrils on the here are very dark. Probably the darkest part you're going to get to his mouth and his chin. I'm going to come around here. I'm going to do his little chops now. Like so, we're just going to fit it in nice and easy. Just the whole thing. Doesn't matter if you go over the line. So there we go. You can see a bit more pressure there. You can give him a bit more contrast on this cheek because the light's coming from here. So we're going to just suggest that this bits are darker. So just press it a little bit more. I've been told this is I was told many times over, it's a Norwegian dwarf. It's a rabbit with little ears. So if you wanted to, get your hand out, go for it. Fingers work pretty good, but the oils in your fingers can also stick to the paper. And that happens a lot, when you're trying to do a fine picture and you're really bearing down on the image and you get the bit where the pen doesn't quite stick to the surface. It's because it's absorbed the moisture or the oils out your fingers. I'm freezing cold at the moment, obviously, but yeah, during the summer when you get sweaty fingers, it sticks to your paper. So if you do have that problem, or if you just, you always get this part here of your fingers all gubby, you can pop a bit of paper just under your hand and go along drawing like that. I mean, I'm right-handed, so I'll do it my way. So that means I'm not dirtying my paper. In this one, I thought I'd recommend just getting tissue paper. And if you just fold it over a few times and then fold the crease into a little point, this is what's in that picture. It's just not very clear. So you have a little point here, and you can do the smaller, sort of delicate areas. Or more tissue paper. If you just fold it into squares over and over. So you've got just using this flat edge now, and you can blur a big area very quickly. So there we go. So you haven't lost all of these lines. This is what makes art interesting to me, when you can see the lines and the strokes and the brushes. But if you want to do photorealistic, then you just take a lot more time to do those strokes and blending. So there I've got two tissues, one flat, one pointed. So now what we can do is use a rubber to bring in highlights. It's just a latex rubber. And that's what we can get. You see it's making it lighter. So if we wanted to lighten a big area, and if you'd want to get those really fine edges, the lines where the actual fur comes into it, if you just take a knife and you can just snip a tiny chunk of rubber off. Yeah, and just use that real fine edge to bring in some real fine lines into it. And then just keep cutting it every time it rounds off. Cut it, you've got another sharp edge to go. He looks kind of mean. He's a troubled rabbit, this one. You'll be alright. And I've lined up the sketch, so I know some people get really wound up with starting. So I just thought, well, let's just, if you're not confident, then you can start straight with this. So here, you should just be able to see the outlines through that there, if you can see that. With the old tab placed on top of there. And there you go, you can trace straight through all the little elements in one go. And there you go. You could also try this one in charcoal. I've got a charcoal pencil. So let's just sketch in all these elements again. Yeah. And again, darken up these pieces. And obviously charcoal is extremely easy to blend, although you can get soft, medium and hard. But they all pretty much make the same marks. Like I say before, charcoal pencil, a lot different than actual charcoal. See, let's bring me my model back. So, someone wants to be a little bit more brave. This is a Sharpie drawing pen. You just have to know which lines we don't want to really keep. That's enough for me. I can just come back over it, darken some of the lines over. Everyone's got their own style, so mine is very kind of, pretty sure it's called quick and scruffy. And then I thought, you know, yes, for those that are itching to sort of get started, let's have a look. It's just a little, yeah, start a little bit of watercolouring. So this is wet onto dry paper. And when people say that, it just means it's a wet medium onto a dry medium. And the reason I say that is because I can take some, this is just water, and I could just put water here, clean water, and grab some pigment, and then put that pigment into that water, and you'll see you'll get those striations, or you know, where the water's taken up. I don't think you can get ginger rabbits, but this one's going to be a little bit ginger. And that's what makes watercolour really difficult, if you're wondering. Watercolour's unforgiving, so if I was to accidentally touch, let's see what colour I've got here. I don't know, a bit green there, I think. So if I was to touch a bit of green, whoops, that's going to stay there, and it's transparent. So no matter how much layers of, I don't know, the yellow on top, you always get that green, and that's why, that's the difference. So in an oil, that green would stay on top, and I could cheat by getting a bit of tissue, and I could wipe that away, and it'll be gone. It'll be erased. If it was a bit stubborn, then I could take it back with a little bit of terps on a bit of rag, and it would be gone. And that is, I don't think anyone sees that really when they're painting. Let me just. So this is my painting rag, and those are all mistakes. it's yeah, all those little marks and bits is where I've got this, and I've just taken it to the canvas, dipped in a bit of terps, and wiped it away. Because you can do that with oil. On acrylic, if you wait for the layer to obviously to dry, and you put another colour on top, those two will never mix. So once acrylic is dry, so it actually does turn to a coloured piece of plastic once it's dry, it's just like PVA glue. And then there's nothing you can do to that. That's it. Acrylics are layers. They're individual layers. They will sit on top, if you can imagine it. And watercolours are like layers on glass, so you'll see that. You'll see the layer under that one, and the next one, and the next one. I can probably show you a little bit more if I try and wipe some of this around here. You'll still be able to see underneath. So they haven't blended. They don't really do that. Once the pigment's in the paper, it stays there. Oh, let's show you my little things off the side. So this is my little watercolor kit. I don't use watercolor too much. It's too fine. It's very delicate. You do need to spend your time with the watercolor. And my style of scruffy, quick and scruffy, yeah, it doesn't lend very well to it. But so this is just a small thing. These are called pans. These little. Oh. So that's a watercolor pan. This is I think it's a half-size one. Like little tablets. They've got the ink on the set, and you can change these over. So this is a travel palette. So if I was going to the I don't know, coastline, I'd take more blues and more white or whatever. More greens if I was doing landscapes. And you always need to mix pretty much everything on your palette. You can't do that on the paper, because like I say, once you have it on the paper, it's permanent. It really does not come away. It will stay. So now I've got this. What colour was this? Let's go brown. Let's try a bit of red in there. That's probably a bit too red. Back to the brown. You can see why it takes a long time. So basically, yeah. And then that's what you'll do. The good thing is that you can still suggest the fur with the direction. Kind of looks like one of those Quentin Blake. But you can see that what I did there, so I started the yellow this side. and that will add in the brightness. So if I come back over here, just blend around there, come back in. There's a really dark edge, maybe this side, under here. So another thing is about the contrast. I think I mentioned in one of my I can't mention it enough. Contrast is what brings a picture to life. So if you smudge too much out, you'll end up with a very bland looking picture. But you can fix that by making the dark tones even darker and the lighter ones to as much as you get to white, and that creates a better picture, a more realistic picture. I've darkened here, but this is the lightest area, so a lot of focus, not conscious of it, but your eye will start to see that as, oh, he's turned away, the sun's over here. It really is, your eyes see things before your mind does, and that's the idea with the contrast. So if I make his nose dark, then I add in a little bit more pigment to the bottom here. And let's just follow his little mouth area down here. So now that has a darker value than this. When you come to construct or compose an image, that's something. That's the paramount thing, is playing with the light where you want it to go, because you can control that. So that's me little rabbit. Oh, there's just copy paper. So there's just so much to talk about. It's very difficult to get quick. Okay, this video did go on for over 40 odd minutes, and I noticed when I was watching it back that I'm rushing quite a lot. So I've decided I'll just cut this short. I will be back and I'll be doing some medium demonstrations and concentrate sort of 10-minute slots on watercolor, acrylics and oils, and that way hopefully I'll get it all in and it will be neater. So sorry about that, but I'll be back. I hope you've enjoyed it. Give it a go, mess about with the mediums. Remember, you can try this in pastels, and you could do it in oils and just see how you go. And hopefully we'll have a little chat about this over the weekend. Okay, good luck.